Alright, this is the college effort. A couple of tips on how to be a better writer in college. I am Basil, the one who made this project. So, I made a nice little preview of the slides. First, we're gonna go over the language usage that you should be using. Um, then the genre choice, which goes in with the audience. And then you're gonna want to think about the tone that you take when you write, as well as give give proper evidence formatting, like MLA formatting, to its finest. And AI isn't going anywhere really, so you should definitely just learn how to use it in a way that isn't cheating. All right. First off, language usage. The topic obviously matters. So uh, if you're gonna do something about engineering, you need to know the proper vocabulary for the engineering community. That's where the Lexis comes in, is because it's the vocabulary dependent on the specific community. And you definitely need to understand that authority is earned over time. And if you're a newcomer going into any sort of writing, then you don't have any real authority, as in, you can't make any real changes yet, especially if you don't know the proper lexis of that community. And I was reading a couple of different articles, so there will be a couple of quotes throughout the slides, but the one that really caught me for this specific topic was kind of it was talking about the usage of I or we whenever you're writing, because it's usually seen as a sort of taboo. But in this specific article written by I think Tony or Thani, I think it's Tony. Um, it says papers should be written in the third person in an objective, formal, and in person styles. So it's just depending on the circumstances, is like I said, you can use the words I or we. Alright, and then next. Alright, into genre choice and audience. So it kind of goes back into to the communities really for the audience. So back to what I was talking about, where you don't really have any authority yet. The quote that I put in this one is a genre evolves through human use and activity. Um, that quote was really, I put that there because of the last slide. Whenever you start to get more authority, is whenever you're able to help evolve the genre and help it grow, because as a newcomer into the community, there's a high likelihood that you're going to know newer ways of doing things, but it takes time to be able to do that. So getting back into this slide, genre choice is more than just an essay topic. This slideshow is actually a genre choice, and I find that to be a little interesting because going into college, I saw genre as simple things like persuasion articles or essays, sorry, rhetorical essays, simple things like that. But then it also goes into multiple different categories within that. So sticking within specifically reading and writing and not going into like art or music, there's multiple different platforms that can be considered a genre choice, such as Reddit or making a blog site, simple things like that. And usually those aren't really thought about as much. And again, remember what type of people you're trying to reach. Going back to the community, I mean, what was the previous example I said? Engineering. If you're gonna talk about the engineering community, you're gonna want to realize that most of them are probably older people, and they're probably like they've probably been taught by their fathers how to do it a specific way. So, like you got to realize that the language choice isn't gonna be as neat as what it might be for, say, a persuasion article or essay. Yeah. And the last thing I said on this slide is don't only rely on basic essay formatting. You may need to make an online article for a class project. This is pretty close to what I'm doing here. All right. And I got another quote on this one. It said, "What evidence or what counts as evidence? How arguments are constructed, and what style is most appropriate and effective." All right. This is for the tone slide. Well, really, the main things that I was trying to convey on this was that you want a specific emotion depending on what you're doing, because most of the time they help the reader understand what you're trying to get across a little bit easier. So if you're using it for, say, like, to make them feel sad, that way they understand that, hey, that's a bad thing. I don't really have a specific I don't have specific examples on the top of my head, but yeah. So that's pretty much what this is. If you need to have a sad tone, a happy tone, an angry tone, then you're going to want to use specific words to make people feel that way, such as, I don't know, it's disgusting, simple things. But then, yeah, that's pretty much exactly what I was talking about. All right, on to the next slide. Next one is evidence use prop. I won't get into this one too much. It's basically just if you're quoting specific people, you're usually gonna need to have it in a specific formatting. Like, it's gonna be the last name of the author as well as the page number. You don't need to get specific with paragraphs or anything like that, but you need those two things. If you aren't able to do that because it's just a weird online article where they don't have page numbers, then at least cite the source itself. Like, cite the name of the article. That way people can try to find it. And I say it depends on the genre, because if you are doing, say, an online article, like a vlog, I guess. No, not a vlog. I meant to say a blog, sorry. Then every once in a while, it'll be a specific word will be attached to an entire different article. Which is their way of just making it to where, like, they're putting their evidence out there. They're citing their evidence that way. And then again, AI is here to stay. There's there's been a couple of different teachers to tell me this now, but my current teacher, Dr. Erogin, I believe, I probably butchered that. He always says leverage AI, and what he means by that is there are so many useful AI sites out there now that can help you with things, not even just in English. I mean, if you're building a building, it can help you make schematics. But sticking with English, I've been introduced to a couple of things. Like, there's a site called Notebook LM where you can put a couple of articles together and have a podcast be made. So you'll essentially be listening to two people talk about those articles. It's obviously not good for if you need to get specific evidence, but if you're just in, I don't know, like a interpersonal communications class, and you need to hear something quick and kind of get the gist of it, it's perfect for that. Or if you just have a bunch of reading that you need to do in your English class, but it's not all that important, again, it's perfect for that. And then you could pause here if you would like to get the specific links. But this is all my works cited. There's Tony Teresa I was talking about, and then the other ones. But they're all very good. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.